Hello and welcome. You're watching Express News. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and in this section we give you top 100 news of the day. So let's get started. India's Home Minister Amit Shah attended the birth centenary celebrations of Mata Bhagwati Devi Sharma and the centenary of Akhand Deep in Uttarakhand's Haridwar. Minister Shah offered prayers at the Akhand Jyoti and interacted with members of the Gayatri Parivar. He is on a two-day visit to the North Indian hill state of Uttarakhand. India and the European Union have agreed to sign a new security and defence partnership. The announcement was made by EU's Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas ahead of 60th EU-India Summit scheduled to take place in New Delhi next week. The EU leader said that Europe is ready to deliver on a powerful new agenda with India, a part of which includes expanding cooperation in areas such as maritime security, counter-terrorism and the signing of an India-EU free trade agreement. The EU leader said that the two major democracies must cooperate more, especially in the changing world order. She says that India and the EU have renewed political momentum and a clear sense of purpose. European Council President Antonio Costa and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will attend the Republic Day as chief guests on 26th of January, with the India-EU summit scheduled for the following day. Then Indian Army Rashtriya Rifle soldiers lost lives and 11 were injured as Casper vehicle plunged into gorge near Kani Top on Baderwa Chamba Road on Thursday. Union Ministers Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh condoled the tragic loss of lives. India's permanent representative to the UN, Harish Parvat Neni, delivered the G4 statement on behalf of India, Brazil, Germany and Japan at the Intergovernmental Negotiations meeting on UN Security Council reforms. Highlighting the urgent need for reforms, the Indian diplomat said that the UN does not have the luxury of time to engage in cycles of meetings that are devoid of the outcomes. He stressed the importance of collectively making every moment count. Speaking on India's technological ambitions, Communications Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia said that India has set an ambitious target of contributing 10% of global patents to future 6G standards. Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar holds a meeting with Mexico's electoral counselor on the margins of India International Conference on Democracy and Election Management in New Delhi. The Chief Election Commissioner offered the services of India to strengthen and enhance electoral service delivery. Mexico's electoral counselor described the meeting as productive. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation has launched the electronic personnel license services for the airline transport pilot license in New Delhi. The initiative is a key step towards strengthening India's civil aviation regulatory ecosystem. Niti Aayog, India's apex public policy think tank, has released 3 reports on green transition, say that India has an aspiration of becoming a developed nation by 2047 and achieving a $30 trillion economy. The economic expansion will be driven by a significant increase in industrial activity and accompanied by extensive infrastructure development. Increasing the share of manufacturing sector from 17% to 25% of GDP is central to India's developmental goals. The Niti Aayog report highlights that cement production is likely to increase 7-fold to 2,100 million tons in 2070 from 391 million tons in 2023. While aluminium production is projected to increase from 4 million tons in 2023 to 37 million tons by 2070, the decarbonization roadmap identifies 3-phased solutions: transition to renewable energy, round-the-clock power and enhanced grid connectivity. In business, the Indian equity indices ended on strong note on Thursday. At close, the Sensex was up 397.74 points to close at 82,307.37. While Nifty was up 132.4 points to close at 25,289.9. The Indian rupee ended higher at 91.62 per dollar on Thursday. Global gold prices hovered near $4,830 per ounce after hitting a record $4,888, driven by geopolitical risks and strong safe haven demand. Global silver prices traded near $94.5 per ounce after hitting a record high of $95.89 recently, fueled by industrial demand, supply shortages and safe haven buying amid geopolitical tensions. Global oil prices traded around $65 per barrel for Brent on 22nd of January, easing from early month peaks amid oversupply concerns, inventory builds and moderating geopolitical tensions despite steady demand growth forecasts. The US dollar held on to overnight gains against major peers. The Australian dollar rose after a stronger than expected jobs report boosted expectations of a possible rate hike as soon as next month. Bitcoin hit 82 lakh rupees per coin on Thursday, with Ethereum at 2.76 lakh rupees amid market rally as investors eyed further gains. Asian markets rose as Nikkei surged 1.7% to 53,689. Kospi hit record highs, easing Greenland tensions boosted the sentiment on Thursday. European stocks advanced with Stock 600 up 0.9% to 112, DX nearing 23,200 as softer inflation data fueled expectations for European Central Bank rate cuts, boosted banking and tech sectors. US President Trump has stepped back from threats to impose tariffs as leverage to seize Greenland and ruled out the use of force. He said that a deal was in sight to end a dispute over the Danish territory. In a social media post, President Trump said that he had agreed with the head of NATO on a framework of a future deal on Arctic security, potentially diffusing tension that had far-reaching geopolitical implications. Trump said that Western Arctic allies could forge a new deal that satisfies his desire for a Golden Dome missile defense system and access to critical minerals while blocking Russia and China's ambitions in the Arctic. US President Trump, after emerging from a meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, said that the long-term Arctic deal will make everybody happy. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz welcomed US President's shift on Greenland and urged Europeans not to be too quick to write off the transatlantic partnership. Meanwhile, at the 56th annual summit of the World Economic Forum, President Trump expressed confidence over India-US bilateral trade agreement while praising Prime Minister Narendra Modi as a close friend and respected leader. US President Donald Trump kicked off his new Board of Peace at Davos on Thursday with a signing ceremony for a body with a $1 billion membership fee and a controversial list of invitees. A group of leaders and senior officials from 19 countries, including Trump allies from Argentina and Hungary, gathered on stage with Trump to put their names to the founding charter of the body. Key US allies, including France and Britain, expressed skepticism. Members on stage largely had close ties to Trump, including Hungary's Viktor Orban and Argentina's Javier Milei. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said he will join but was not present at the ceremony in Davos. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio told the ceremony that the board's focus was first and foremost on making sure that this peace deal in Gaza becomes enduring. Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to meet US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and US President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner in Moscow on Thursday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and US President Donald Trump held in fact a meeting at the World Economic Forum in Davos on Thursday. The encounter came hours before US envoy Steve Witkoff and Kushner hold talks with Putin. Campaigning for Bangladesh's national election began on Thursday after allocation of election symbols and confirmation of final candidates. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, Jamaat-e-Islami and Jatiya Party began their campaigning. Nearly 2,000 candidates are contesting the election for 300 parliamentary seats in Bangladesh. Polling will be held on 12th of February. In London, British Hindus and Bangladeshi diaspora groups assembled at Parliament Square to protest against the persecution of minorities in Bangladesh. Australia is holding a national day of mourning for victims of deadly Bondi terror attack on Thursday. In an address, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called the attack a stain on the country and said that the national flag will fly at half-mast at all government buildings. Spain's rail network is facing scrutiny after a recent accident in which one person was killed and dozens injured after a commuter train crashed into rubble of a wall that collapsed onto railway tracks outside Barcelona. Spain's transport minister claimed that the track had been previously inspected and denied any human error as a cause for the fatal crash near Admas that claimed more than 40 lives. A former police officer in the U.S. state of Texas was acquitted of charges related to his response during 2022 school shooting. The officer faced 29 counts of felony for failing to stop the gunman in one of the deadliest school shootings. The death toll from a shopping mall fire in Pakistan's Karachi climbed to 60 after at least 30 bodies were recovered from a shop of the multi-story building. Investigations are underway to determine the cause of accident. Through a social media post, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned world leaders against selectively applying international law, cautioning that doing so risks undermining global order. Hong Kong's High Court on Thursday began the landmark national security trial of 3 former leaders of a now disbanded group that organized annual vigils marking 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown on pro-democracy protesters. Time for a short break. Keep watching DD India.
Welcome to Delhi. One of India's newest states, one of India's oldest lands.
Welcome back. You're watching Express News on DD India. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Let's resume. Chile's President Gabriel Boric and President-elect Jose Antonio Cast on Thursday visited wildfire-devastated regions where the blazes have killed at least 20 people and left areas under a state of catastrophe. Police in Chile surged through charred buildings in the bioregion, clearing debris and opening locked homes to rule out further fatalities after devastating wildfires. A winter storm bringing icy temperatures will slam a massive stretch of the U.S. this week, with more than 175 million people facing the prospect of heavy snowfall, power outages and travel disruption. Forecasters warned that New York City could get up to 12 inches of snow as a severe cold snap drives temperatures sharply down. Rescue teams in New Zealand are searching for several people after a major landslide hit a campsite in northern New Zealand on Wednesday. New Zealand forecaster lifted all weather warnings in the North Island as the tropical low move east. Some warnings remain in place for the South Islander islands expected to ease on Thursday. 2 people died in Greece on Wednesday after torrential rain flooded streets, homes and businesses in Athens and other parts of the country. The southern suburbs of Greece have been among the worst affected by the floodwaters, with cars submerged and homes inundated. The rainstorm is to shift toward the eastern part of the country on Thursday. Residents of the southern Athens suburb of Glyfada surveyed the damage on Thursday from torrential rains that swept through the country, causing flooding in several regions. Floodwaters have submerged riverside quays in Quimperle in western France as water levels of rivers soared above flood barriers, overtopping protections and blocking access in the town centre. France's Finistère region is under an orange flood alert until Friday, after, in fact, with road closures and emergency operations underway as crew monitor rising waters. Heavy snowfall struck Afghanistan's capital Kabul, blanketing streets and snowing traffic as cars and motorbikes moved cautiously over the white-covered roads. Flooding in Mozambique continued to cause widespread disruption as rising waters left roads, homes, schools and businesses submerged, forcing residents to navigate waist-deep pools that have engulfed entire neighborhoods. India is set to witness a renewed spell of active winter weather from Thursday onwards as a western disturbance strengthens over the western Himalayas region and adjoining plains. The Met Department has forecast foggy conditions over Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh in the coming days. Reduced visibility in the early hours is expected to disrupt transportation services. A region of Ecuador has turned into a striking yellow landscape as thousands of trees bloom after the first seasonal rains. A short-lived spectacle of the trees spans 40,000 hectares of dry forest, drawing tourists from across Ecuador and abroad to the region, where they walk community trails to witness the rare natural event. In Milan, a new art exhibition featuring only Indian artists has opened, focusing on the relationship between humans and the environment in the 21st century. The Italy art exhibition has drawn interest from visitors keen on fresh international artistic trends, highlighting India's creative dialogue with global ecological and cultural themes. Preparations for Saraswati Puja, the Hindu goddess of knowledge and learning, are underway across India. In Odisha, artisans have built a 64-foot idol of goddess Saraswati after weeks of work. Women dressed in their finest bridal attire gathered in Jammu and Kashmir's Banderwa to celebrate the Kanchot festival, a tradition observed in the region for centuries. The Kanchot festival commemorates the marriage of Lord Shiv and goddess Parvati. Celebrated by women, the festival is unique to Chenab Valley. The National School of Drama has announced the 2026 edition of Bharat Rang Mahotsav, the world's largest theatre festival, marking its 25th year. 25th edition of Bharat Rang Mahotsav will be held between 27th of January to 20th of February across New Delhi and multiple cities in India and abroad, bringing together theatre groups from around the world. An Air Force Symphony band on Wednesday regaled audiences in New Delhi with scintillating tunes. The concert, which was open for all, celebrated 150 years of India's national song Vande Mataram. The Songwriters Hall of Fame announced American singer Taylor Swift's selection to its class of 2026 on Wednesday. She is the second youngest songwriter ever to receive this honor. Fans lined up outside the Rodin Museum in Paris on Wednesday, cheering for K-pop star Hyun Jin from the group Stray Kids and Korean idol Mingyu from 17 as they arrived for Dior's menswear runway show. Singers Olivia Dean and Lola Young received 5 nods each for Britain's pop music honours at the 2026 Brit Awards. Around 70% of the nominations feature women and non-binary people as solo artists or in mixed groups. The cast and creators of survival thriller Send Help hit the red carpet in the US city of Los Angeles on Wednesday for the world premiere of the movie from cult horror director Sam Raimi. Blockbuster movie Dhurandhar is set to stream on OTT joint Netflix starting 30th of January. Netflix has secured the OTT rights for both Dhurandhar 1 and the upcoming Dhurandhar 2. The High Commissioner of India to Singapore inaugurated the second edition of the Indian Film Festival 2026 on Thursday. The festival will screen 21 films from Friday to March 8th, 2026. The second edition of the Guwahati Asian Film Festival commenced on Thursday in Assam, with 26 films from across 10 Asian countries scheduled to be screened. Uzbekistan's Sunday was screened as the opening film. Dharma Productions' Homebound is expected to be selected for the 97th Academy Awards as nominations are scheduled for Thursday. The film has already made it to top 15. Artists Leon Thomas, Alex Warren, Katsai, Addison Ray, Somber, Lola Young and the Marias are lined up for live performance for Best New Artist segment on February 1st during Grammys telecast. Leon Thomas, Olivia Dean and Alex Warren split. American actress and singer Kristen Bell is set to return as host of 2026 Actor Awards presented by SAG-AFTRA, scheduled to air on March 1st. Liverpool swept aside Marseille with a 3-0 win on Wednesday to extend its unbeaten run to 13 matches in all competitions and move a step closer to round of 16 qualifiers. Barcelona came from behind to beat Slavia Prague 4-2 on a freezing night in the Champions League on Wednesday, with Fermin Lopez scoring the decisive brace. Juventus secured a Champions League playoff place with a 2-0 home win over Benfica on Wednesday, its third successive victory. Bayern Munich top scorer Harry Kane stuck twice to carry his team to a 2-0 win over Belgium's Union Saint-Gilloise in UCL on Wednesday and book its ticket for the knockout stage. An own goal from Atletico Madrid's Marcos Llorente earned Galatasaray a draw as both sides moved closer to advancing in the Champions League. Men in Blues beat Black Caps by 48 runs at the Vidarbha Cricket Association Stadium in Nagpur on Wednesday to take a 1-0 lead in the 5-match T20 series. World number 1 T20I batter Abhishek Sharma entered his name in the record books in Nagpur by becoming the fastest batter in the world to score 5,000 runs in the T20s. Delhi Capitals opener Shafali Verma became the second Indian and fourth overall player to cross the 1,000 run mark in the Women's Premier League. Mystery spinner Mujibur Rahman grabbed a hat-trick as Afghanistan warmed up for next month's T20 World Cup with the series clinching 39-run win over the West Indies on Wednesday. Indian shuttlers PV Sindhu and Lakshya Sen have entered the quarterfinals of Indonesia Masters after securing straight game wins in their respective round of 16 matches in Jakarta. Jalen Brunson scored 20 points on Wednesday night for the New York Knicks, thumping Brooklyn Nets with a historic 120-66. Jaipur polo team edged Optimus Achievers 7.5-7 in a thrilling Rajmata Gayatri Devi Memorial Cup clash. Defending champion Madison Keys overcame a shaky second set to beat Ashlyn Kruger 6-1, 7-5. Keys rallied with 5 straight games, sealing her place in the Australian Open third round. Jessica Pegula stormed into the Australian Open third round, crushing McCartney Kessler, 6-0, 6-2 in under an hour. The 6th seed now faces Oksana Selek-Meteva, who upset Paula Badosa. Novak Djokovic eased past qualifier Francesco Mastrelli 6-3, 6-2, 6-2 to reach the Australian Open third round, chasing a record 25th Grand Slam. Djokovic showed composure. That's it in this edition of Express News. News and updates will continue on D-Day India. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.